All right, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, welcome to the Tatum Show. We're going to try to cover this press conference. That's why we're up way in this crazy hour in the morning. None of us got sleep last night. So, but, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are fair and impartial and at least getting all the facts out there. And so while we wait for this press conference, I'm just going to recap just a little bit of what I've experienced over the weekend, being out in Mississippi, talking to the boys who are being accused of murdering Nolan Wells with no evidence. And I want to clear up a few things and make sure that we're very clear about what happened and didn't happen according to what I have learned. And as soon as the press conference comes in, I'm gonna stop my explanation of it. We're gonna jump to the press conference. But before that, I want to just close in on a few things. First of all, it is a tragedy what happened to Nolan. It's a tragedy. It is sad. I couldn't imagine losing my child. Even though he was an adult, he was 18 years old, he was in college, it's still a tragedy to lose your child. And despite my disagreements with the way the family is doing, especially working with Benjamin Crump, especially the things that I have learned that they have said that have not been true, and personally, I think in the effort to maximize this moment, I don't know if they're being coerced to do it, or I don't know if they just doing it because that's who they really are on the inside. But regardless of any of that, it's still very unfortunate what happened to Nolan. And my goal, just as well as most other people who have common sense and who cares, my goal is to find out what happened to the boy so he can get closure, his family can get closure, and his friends can get closure. The thing that is not happening properly is that we're not working together as a community to get to the bottom of this. They have thrusted race into a scenario where race was not present, and there's no evidence that racism had anything to do with it. After being out there in Mississippi, I found out that really the white friends were Nolan's closest friends. That's why he spent the night at their house before they went out for the 4th of July. They've been out for the 4th of July last year just as well as they did this year. And nothing mysteriously happened to Nolan. Some of the boys that I interviewed showed me pictures, told me stories about them and Nolan. And it just shocked me that what's being presented to the media and what's being presented to the world is not necessarily the truth of what happened. And this is what sparked me, y'all, that made me feel like I need to make sure that this is done right. I need to do the right thing. I'm going to fly my whole team to Mississippi. We need to talk to people. It's because when you listen to the family, and I think it's more Benjamin Crump than the family, to be quite honest. When you listen to Benjamin Crump, you realize that they're grifting. Because everybody under the sound of my voice probably have heard them say, oh, they left Nolan at the island. Well, if they left him at the island, it had nothing to do with his drowning or death or murder or whatever the case that has happened. The boys had nothing to do with it if they left him. So make your mind up. Did they leave him or did they do something to him? What they were hoping would happen is that people would fall for the idea that it was just 4 white boys on a secluded island where no witnesses could have occurred, and they did something nefarious and they left them behind. And therefore, the whole world thinking it's them. When you leave a person who's an adult who refused to get on the boat that was sinking, they were in an emergency situation and had to get the boat out of there. He was with a chick. He stood behind with the chick. That's not odd. He's 18 years old. And they leave, and there's hundreds, if not thousands of people still there, hundreds, if not 1,000 boats still there. There's multiple friend groups that he did not even come with, that he was mingling with and talking to while he was there. According to what I've learned, and you guys are going to see in subsequent interviews that we've done, is that it's not uncommon for people to go out with a group and leave with another group. So when one boat leaves, it is not abnormal for Nolan to decide, hey, bro, I'm with this chick right now. Y'all leaving too early. Because according to the timeline, they left at around 4:30. Everybody's still partying. There's still thousands of people there when they left. And they only left because they were in an emergency situation with the boat getting ready to sink. But it's not that odd when you hear the totality of circumstances that, oh, he was kicking with this chick. He can go back with her on a boat. And the phone situation, I talked to the boys about the phone situation. They're like, everybody leaves their phone on the boat. When I was there, I left my phone on the boat, and I didn't even think about it. I just knew I wasn't going to have my phone in my hand when I jumped in the water, because you can't just get on the beach. You got to jump in the water first to get to the beach, or at least the island. And I didn't have my phone on me. None of us had our phones on us. I could have been filming content out there. The reception is not great, so it's not really conducive to have your phone on you in the first place. Multiple people left their phone on the boat. And in an emergency situation, they had to get out of there. A lot of people's phone was still on the boat. What do? You can contact them and get your phone back when you get to the mainland at another time. You could use somebody else's phone. And just like some other kids had done, they went to the house after when everybody came back, and they went and retrieved their phone. Just like Nolan's family did. And no, there wasn't a resistance. No, there wasn't a scuffle. According to what I learned, they barged through the house, didn't even call or nothing. Which is a crime, by the way, but I'll leave it at that.
Brandon, question.
And just so you guys know, Grant is off camera right over here.
Yeah.
I think we got two shots.
There we go. Perfect. People in the chat are saying, no one's accusing the boys. They just want to get to the truth. So, I mean, do you feel like, is that what you perceived when you were in Mississippi?
No. Let me explain. Great question.
Yeah.
Great question, audience. Well, I don't know if it's genuine, but they're getting death threats. That's why they had to take their social media down, because people threatened to kill them. While we were out there, one of the boys had a package sent to his house, and I can't give all the details because it's under criminal investigation, but he had a package sent to his house with a note that was not pleasant. People are threatening to come to their house. People are showing up at these boys' houses. And you're telling me they just want to get to the truth. Why do you think they had to get lawyers and all this sort of stuff? Because they're being accused of killing somebody. They don't want to get to the bottom of it. The family in their heart, they may want to get to the bottom of it. Benjamin Crump don't want to get to the bottom of it, because why didn't he talk to these boys? Why did I have to? He's already in town. Why did I have to fly to Mississippi to interview these boys? Because they reached out to Benjamin Crump. Some parents reached out to Benjamin Crump. And what did they get in return? Nothing. No message, no nothing, no callback, no nothing, no interviews, no nothing. If you want to get to the bottom of it, you do what I did. Now, I've reached out to Benjamin Crump multiple times to get their statements on the record. You think they're going to respond to me? Okay, that's what I thought. And so I don't think in good faith they're Benjamin Crump or they're looking for the truth. You don't start with blaming people and then say, oh, I'm backing up and looking for the truth because you have no real evidence. They originally said he went out there with them boys, and you can see the sentiment floating around the internet. Don't let your black kids hang out with white friends. Mm-hmm. They didn't just spawn off of nothing. It spawned because they go, it's suspicious that they go there with 4 boys and they left him and he dead and they came back. Well, they didn't put it in context. Yeah. Them leaving Nolan because he didn't want to go back with them is not abnormal when there's thousands of people there and hundreds of his friends still there. But they knew this. They didn't tell you that. Now they supposed to start this press conference.
6:04.
4 minutes ago. They feed into the stereotype.
What do you think this is going to be? Like, what is this? Like, what in your...
I think what they're going to do, because I've heard through the grapevine that Nolan's body obviously was washed up on shore. Mm-hmm. The authorities say that there's no evidence of foul play, that it could possibly be inconclusive. And I think that he probably had injuries to his body because he was in the water. Because when you drown, you go down to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And the current there is astronomical at times. And so you can imagine that your body is laying on the bottom of the water there. Who knows where he was at?
Sure.
He could have been a little further off land, which means that he could have dropped 20-some feet to the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
he could have been on the bottom of the water. And there's animals there. There's jagged stuff there. Who knows what people are dropping in the water. You're getting washed to and fro inside water for 2 days.
And it's hot.
And it's hot.
Salt water.
Salt water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so that I'm not saying that there's no indication that somebody did something to him. What I'm saying is that I wonder if they're going to be fair in revealing the true context around what may have been seen.
Yeah.
The authorities are not going to see a black brother after the controversy has already happened. They're going to see a brother, and they're going to see that he's injured, and there's clear signs of a homicide or a murder, and then they're going to brush it under the rug. You got to think, they were already making a thing about this before the autopsy was even finished.
Yeah.
So highly unlikely that they're going to lie about the autopsy initially. This became a national case. I think the autopsy is going to be consistent with the autopsy that was done by the state.
So you think this is the Washington, D.C. autopsy results?
Yes,
Probably.
yes.
Okay,
This
not
is.
the...
No, this is the family's independent autopsy results because the other autopsy was finished and concluded.
Did they actually release
I don't know
that?
if they released it or people have heard through the grapevine.
Because normally an autopsy,
And it's preliminary.
Their autopsies aren't necessarily made public.
Yeah, a lot of them are not made public. In this case, it may be they don't want to release. Like for instance, let me give people a little context here. You don't want to release the autopsy necessarily because let's just say somebody stabbed him and he has stab wounds, and they go on the autopsy and say he has stab wounds. Well, the person who did this is going to make sure they get rid of the knife.
Oh,
they're going to make sure the murder weapon is not visible.
Right.
They're going to make sure when they sit down and interview that there's no mention that there was ever a knife or anything. They'll have too much context if you're specific about things that may have occurred. That's why investigations don't necessarily, why they don't give you all the information, especially if the suspect is still at large. So if he has strangulation, because what happens is all the kids, think about this. I want people to understand this and internalize this. All the people that they interviewed, if anybody in the interview says something that's not publicly available, they know that you were there.
Right.
If they go interview somebody and they already made public the manner of death and everything like that, and it's with some specificity, then it's going to taint any other interview.
Yeah.
Because people may say, yeah, I saw him get strangled because they want $50,000.
Absolutely.
And they go, if they didn't put it out to the media, they're like, how would you know you strangled? Unless you were there, unless you really have information. Therefore, your testimony is valuable to us. But if they go and start putting out everything and telling everything and showing their hand, and people are going to start, colluding together to make up lies, and people are going to start hiding murder weapons. People are going to start washing their boat, and doing other stuff. And when I say wash, I mean detail the boat. I'm not talking about rinsing salt water off.
Exactly.
I'm talking about fully detailing the boat, getting rid of their boat. Other things like that will occur. So this is why I think that they haven't divulged the autopsy in its totality. I think there's leaks of what could have potentially happened in the autopsy. But I think that Benjamin Crump would not do this if they were not going to use this to leverage some type of a statement for his own self-aggrandizement. Because if the authorities say, unless you believe everybody's a racist and they hate black people, which there's tons of black people on that island, tons of black people in the friend group, which they lied about, that they're not going to let a young boy who is a star in the community, loved in the community, loved by everybody, they're not going to let him just be murdered and they cover it up. This is 2026, bro. There's no cover up. There's metadata. There's 1,000 people out there. There's no cover up. Somebody one or two things could have happened with Nolan. Somebody may know something and saw him get killed or that he died and they saw him and they panicked and they left like they did another kid. Or nobody saw him. He went off in the current, got swept away in the current or undertow or something like that, ended up drowning. They didn't see him. There's so many people out there. People are inebriated. He may have been inebriated. He may have been under the influence of something else. I don't know. It's a bunch of kids on an island. They could be doing all kind of stuff out there. And I saw some pictures that were very troubling as to the state of what some people were out there. You know what I mean? Like, people were getting hammered.
Yes.
People were inebriated.
Yeah, hammered is the lowest level.
Yeah. I'm trying to be
sure
PC about some stuff, but there was a lot going on out there.
Oh yeah,
and it's not just underage drinking. You know, this is. I've seen. I'll leave it at that.
Did you, while you were in? This is just a question about the race stuff. When you were in Mississippi, did you feel like you were getting looked at? Did you feel like there was racial tension in the city we were in?
This place is. Dude, there was nothing there. This is 2026, man, and like Mississippi 100 years ago, maybe
a little different story, sure.
Maybe,
yeah.
I obviously think that I don't know if they've been honest with us this whole time about some of what happened in history and with context. You know, Emmett Till was killed in Mississippi, and they're comparing Emmett Till to this situation, and it's just. I don't know if sometimes black people are lacking an identity and they find their identity in the struggle. I don't know what it is. Emmett Till and Nolan Wells are completely different scenarios, brother.
For people who don't know, Emmett Till was beaten to death.
He was
correct?
beaten. They put a cotton gin around his neck and drowned him in the water. But here's the thing: it was racial tension during that period of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of racial tension. But see, Emmett Till wasn't from the South. And so he didn't understand, because where Emmett Till was at, white people and black people did not have conflict like in the South. So Emmett Till is being friendly with a lady, allegedly.
Yes.
But there was nothing wrong with Emmett Till doing that or potentially doing that where he was from.
Right.
But in the South, that wasn't, black and white people didn't get along like that.
Yeah.
And so allegedly he whistled at the woman, or he said something inappropriate to the woman, which wouldn't have been that odd. They could have just completely made it up, but I doubt they completely made it up, because there's a lot of black people that lived in the South, and there's a lot of black people that these people knew. For instance, when Emmett Till allegedly whistled at this woman or whatever, said something inappropriate, she went back and told her family. Emmett Till was visiting a family member. I think it was his uncle.
Okay.
The people knew his uncle. So they went to the house and they said, hey, bring him out. We're not going to do nothing to him. We're going to scare him. And, we're going to teach him a lesson. We're going to bring him back. We just want to, he can't do that. We just want to show him and scare him a little bit, and we'll bring him back. This is what they told his uncle. And so his uncle allowed him to go with them.
Whoa.
To rough him up and bring him back. Well, they killed him. And they beat him.
Yeah.
And they put a cotton gin on his neck, barbed wire. And they thought they were going to throw him out in the water, and he was going to sink and die with the cotton gin.
Yeah.
But he washed up on shore.
Okay.
And they ended up finding his body, and they had an open casket because he was so mutilated.
Yeah.
And the mother wanted to show the world what happened to her son. Brother, Nolan was out there with white people drinking and having a good time with his best friends.
Best friends. Yep.
These boys are all saying they're his best friend. They got pictures and everything with him.
Yeah.
He was at their house going to the 4th of July. He wasn't at the other people's house. All the boys that were at the funeral, and nothing against them. I think they were his friends too.
Yeah.
He didn't stay at their house before he went out to the thing,
right.
Did he? He was at Warren them house. Not Warren. I don't know. I can't remember which house, but he was hanging out with them.
Yeah.
That's his friend group. That's who had his keys and everything on their boat. You can't tell me he wasn't closer with them than anybody else. If his keys on their boat, his phone is on their boat, his keys at their house, he went to 4th of July with them and not anybody else. And the keys situation, I want to talk about that. Keys and phones. And I got bombarded with so much information, I don't want to say too much and get it wrong, but from what I heard, his keys were not on the boat, which would make sense because his car was at the house.
Why would you take them? Right.
And people may not understand this, dude. I went out to Horn Island. Dude, it was like a 30-minute ride.
Yeah.
It was somewhere right there. Oh, you didn't
go
with us,
but you could see, like, the thing that, because everyone makes it sound like it's some remote island. from where we were staying, the house we were in, we
could
could literally see Horn Island.
But it was out there. It was it was like probably 5 miles from us.
Yeah.
It maybe was like 7 or so miles from where they were, or 8 miles from where they were. And we went out, we took a boat out there, and brother, it's a hike.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, people can do the math. If it's 8 miles out, how many knots are you going? You know what I mean? So, and most of the boats aren't going as fast as we were going. So it took a while for people to get out there. And another thing that made me very opposed to the idea that they mysteriously killed him and dumped his body and did all that is that, brother, if somebody wanted to kill you, they would throw you in the middle of that water out there.
Right.
There's sharks out there. We saw dolphins and stuff out there. There's all kind of wild animals in there.
Yeah.
And they dump you in the middle. You won't wash up nowhere in the middle.
Yeah, if they're willing to go that far to the island, they would be willing to go that far into the ocean and just, very
drop you in the middle, throw your phone overboard.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened. His GPS tracker, we weren't there. We don't know what happened. I don't know why his GPS if they wanted to kill the boy and do all that, they'd have made it up. They'd have done all that.
Yeah.
They'd have destroyed his phone.
They wouldn't have this phone.
They're going to take his phone back as evidence and then give it over to the family.
Well, because in the Daniel Irving case in Texas,
they dumped all the stuff.
They got rid of the clothes, they got rid of the phone. That to me is a suspicious friend group.
But it was determined that he drowned, that they didn't kill him, but
they panicked, right?
They panicked.
Yeah.
Because they probably were drinking and doing other stuff, which could have happened in this situation. Maybe they were all drinking underage and some other stuff was going on. And I don't want to speculate, but maybe something happened and they were like, oh, shoot, we got to get away from this situation. But I don't think that the boys had anything to do with that.
Yeah, totally.
The boys that I talked to had nothing to do with this. Like, their only crime was that they were friends with
Right.
Nolan. And they admit that the friends left him behind. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so you got to make your mind up. Did they leave him behind, which means they weren't there when he died? It means they had nothing to do with his death. Or were they there and they killed him?
Right.
You can't have both. You can't say they left him behind and also killed him. How did they kill him if they left him behind? And they wanted us to believe it was in a remote island with nobody there, which would make sense.
Yeah.
They left him behind.
Yeah.
There's nobody at the island but him. He's out there in the middle of the ocean by himself, or the Gulf of America by himself. That would be suspicious. That would be like, you guys we need some more answers. When you leave a person at Mardi Gras,
Right.
pretty much,
Yeah.
that's not.
No.
That's like saying, think about this for a minute. I want people to put this in perspective. I don't know a lot. Like Lake Havasu is one of the similar situations
Big
here. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Lake Havasu, but people are familiar with Mardi Gras, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably a lot more people at Mardi Gras than at this island.
Sure.
But just put it in perspective. Yeah. We all go out together, right? We all go to Mardi Gras. We having a good time. It's me, 4 of my really close friends, but I'm also there with 30 other people that I know. We're all there together. They just roll, we took 3 cars.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's 20 of us. It's not 4 of us.
Yeah.
It's not 5 of us.
20 to 30
right.
of you. Right.
It wasn't Nolan and these boys.
Uh-huh.
It was Nolan. These boys were part of a bigger group, which we have video of.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put it out there. It's just we got so much information that it takes time to
Brandon,
put it all
I
together.
literally just sent you a 70-page document to go through.
I know.
After we do this.
I know, and so we taking it in like a water faucet and a fire hydrant, and so we're trying to put it together and make sure that the timelines are right and make sure we fact checking everything that we're getting, and so but that's like us going to Mardi Gras. I'm coming with y'all because y'all my closest people.
Totally.
There's about 4 or 5 of y'all in here, but we here with 20, 30 other people. We all can't fit in one car, so we take 3 cars. Yep. And then not only are we going there, we meet other people that we know, people that went to school with, people that are other friends, all the black friends that were with him at the funeral, or they came to his funeral. Some of them were there too.
Yeah, was Nolan Wells the only black guy in the island?
No, he was not. He was not even the only black guy in the group.
Right.
There's other black people that were in that same friend group. What are we saying? And they lied about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Why did they say that? Why are they not worried about the black friends?
Right.
They were there too.
Yeah.
Oh, but the black friends that are there with Nolan, who he hanging out with, taking pictures with,
Yeah.
some of them seen him alive.
Right.
Why are they not in the media? Why is it only the white kids? So we go to Mardi Gras, 3-car full of people, bunch of people I went to school with, bunch of people we know, all our friends.
Yep.
We all out there partying, having
Yep.
a good time. My car, something happened with my car, so I got to go back and address the car. And
Yeah.
I'm like, Grant, bro, come get in the car, man. Let's go. We gotta go. My car is something wrong with my car.
Yeah.
You like, nah, bro. I'm with a shawty right now.
I'm heading down the street. Yeah.
I'm with a shawty right now, bro.
Right.
Like I'm gonna get back with somebody else, bro. I'm gonna go back with her.
And also, I'm an adult man.
Yeah, I'm not a baby.
Yeah, I'm a full grown adult, and I say, Brandon, I got something going.
I'm gonna go back with her.
Right.
Y'all leaving at 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with the shawty right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling her. When she go back, I'm gonna go back.
Mm-hmm.
What? Why are people like so shocked that he said I'm gonna stick with this chick, and y'all can go back? I'll go back with her. How she getting back? I'm getting back with her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend the night at her house
Right.
potentially. I'm not saying that's what he did, but it could have been. Then y'all leave. I'm there with thousands of people.
Right.
And then something happens to me in Mardi Gras. Now you can say, man, you left your boy behind. You should have made him get in the thing. That's a fair. You could
Sure.
say that. That don't mean you killed him.
Yeah.
That don't mean you really had nothing to do with him. He's grown. It's not like he's somewhere we can't get back.
I think the thing that's interesting too that we found out was everyone who goes to that island and goes on a boat, if it's the end of the night and everybody's packing up, they're not going to leave somebody.
Nobody.
If you see somebody on the island, you're not going to leave somebody behind on that island because the community looks out for the community. That's what we found out in talking to these people.
Yep. They wouldn't have left him back there, so he must have drowned out there, or he could have drowned on the way back in, and his body washed up there.
Yeah.
He clearly didn't die anywhere else but near that area.
Yeah.
Or he would have never washed up there. He could have been around the coastline. He could have been off in the Gulf of Mexico. Sharks would have eaten him. Nobody ever found him. So, with that being said, I mean, these people ain't
6:22, Brandon, or 8:22 their time. Does this surprise you?
No, it didn't actually. NAACP, which was founded by white people, actually.
Was it really?
Jews.
Really?
Yeah, it was founded by a few Jews and Marxist Jews, and 1 or 2 black people.
They just felt bad, like they were just like,
Nah,
we gotta
man,
do this.
I forget the origin of necessarily why they created. I'm starting to question everything about
Everything.
Yeah. Like I'm starting to question people's motives because God is my witness, and I feel like I don't want to put God in it, but I feel like God is revealing it to me. The older I get, the more I'm like, it's the same soup warmed over. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to detract from this whole thing, but like when I look at the civil rights movement, I say, well, let me go look at it. Oh, it's just like BLM. It's the same thing. They bust people into Birmingham. People that live in Birmingham, they got their own thing. They bust people into Birmingham and cause a ruckus. But they bring the media with them. So it looks bad. They go, look, Birmingham, and look at all the racism in Birmingham, Alabama. These are people that they bust in. They did sit-ins. These people didn't really live there. Not everybody lived there. They bust people in. Rosa Parks, that was staged. She had a car.
And she did that 2 weeks before? She tried to do the same thing?
No. It was another person that actually was treated poorly on the train. On the bus.
Oh, okay.
It was a black girl that they actually said, you can't sit up here, you got to go to the back. But she wasn't the poster child that they needed to cause the controversy because she had gotten pregnant at 16. So she had a baby. Allegedly she got raped by a black person, but I haven't verified that. I haven't looked into who actually raped her or did she get raped or she was just had a baby. But she had a baby at 16, so they couldn't promote her because it was a bad look. So they staged Rosa Parks to get on the bus and cause a conflict.
Well, also, was Rosa Parks when she was actually on the bus, aren't there photographs of her?
Yeah.
And at that time, not everybody had a camera on them.
Dude, they staged it.
Right.
They had media show up. Some people. Let me give a balanced argument. Some people could say, yeah, because they needed to show that this is what was happening, so they can make a change. I don't see it that way anymore. after what I've seen more recently. They knew Jussie Smollett did not get assaulted by white people in Chicago. They knew it.
You think they knew that right away?
100%, bro. You ain't nobody. White people ain't out there
with acid,
with bleach, pouring it on people in the middle of -10-degree weather in Chicago in downtown.
That's white folks.
It's MAGA country.
Yeah, we were inside.
They claim that they knew him from a show. Ain't no white people watching Empire.
Was he on Empire or Power? Oh,
Power.
We're getting started. Great.
I think it was Power, maybe. No, it was Empire.
I'm not sure.
It was Empire, a little gay show. They got press conference getting ready to start. We're gonna cover it live. Roll it. Late.
Good morning.
Holding that man wife's hand.
My name is Trevon Williams, Senior Vice President of Marketing Communications with the NAACP. We are here because a demand was made. A demand for transparency, a demand for answers, and a demand for ultimate justice on behalf of Nolan Wells. And that demand must be honored. Amen. For that, we are honored to pause even for a moment to respond accordingly here at our national convention. Momentarily, you will hear from renowned civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who will provide updates on the findings of the independent autopsy that was conducted in the death of Nolan Wells. Immediately following that, we will take questions from credentialed media. We'll attempt to answer as many questions as we can. However, we want to be respectful of the fact that we do have additional programming that is going on to conclude our convention today as well. So we're asking that all press and media, if you're asking questions, please be concise, give your name, give your media credential, and we'll go from there. But before he comes, we will have the leader of the NAACP, President Derrick Johnson, to give opening remarks. President Johnson.
You're making this a spectacle.
Good morning. Good morning. Far too often our young people are confronted with challenges, and many jurisdictions and states don't take those challenges serious. We cannot allow another individual, particularly a young black man's death, go uninvestigated. We have seen this happen over the years, not only in Mississippi, but across the country. It is unfortunate that our young people only seek to enjoy life, and as a result of participating in activities, no longer have life. For the NAACP, we take this and many other cases serious because every person matters. I want to thank the Mississippi State Conference, particularly Alitra Perryman, for working with the family and supporting the family on the onset. Because it's difficult to lose a loved one, it's even more difficult to navigate a process when all eyes are on you. And the pressure of balancing between grieving and navigating is upon you. And so for the NAACP family, this is our role, is to step in, to support when the families have an issue like this, and the local officials seem not to hold people accountable. It's unfortunate when you see news reports and law enforcement officials are repeating what individuals are saying as opposed to investigate the individuals who gave you the information, because you don't know who was involved or not involved. And so narrative matters in this case. And we're saying that in Nolan Wells' situation, the narrative should not be it was an accident before there was an investigation. The narrative should not be the words of individuals who went on a boat to the island with him, but they came without him, but with his cell phone, and you don't investigate those individuals.
They did investigate them.
We're not accusing anyone of anything other than the state of Mississippi and local officials. We're accusing them of being derelict in their duties. Just to follow up and to ensure that regardless of what happened, that there was the proper investigation.
There was an investigation.
So that this family and that community could be assured that if anyone was involved, they would be held accountable. And if it was truly an accident, that the families will have the necessary answers that any family deserves in this situation.
These people.
I want to bring to the podium Attorney Benjamin Crump, a friend of mine who have stepped in to take the case and in support of the family to ensure that they get the answers that they deserve and that local officials and anyone involved will be held accountable to this family, to that system, because we are all parents, siblings, to loved ones who should not be confronted with this reality. Attorney Crump.
Well, first of all, this gentleman just lied. They did investigate. All the boys went in for questioning.
Much, President Derek Johnson, for your leadership, for the leadership of the Mississippi Conference of NAACP, and being there during the homegoing services to help the family go through what no parents want to go through. Thank you to Chairman Leon Russell, my longtime mentor from Florida, who helped raise so many of us. Thank you for always being there, Chairman Russell.
This is just so annoying.
As President Johnson said, I'm Attorney Ben Crump representing the family of Nolan Wells, but it's not just me, it is a team effort of incredible, dedicated lawyers and investigators and paralegals. Attorney Lisa Park, attorney who you'll hear from in a few minutes, Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Gary Buchan, Attorney Camila Moore, Cliff Jones, Jared Preston, Alan Williams, our whole team of people who are committed, as I said, President Johnson, on this ferocious search for the truth of what really happened to Nolan Wells.
But you didn't interview the boys or their
But
lawyers.
before we begin to discuss the intricacies of the preliminary findings of the independent autopsy, we think it would be appropriate for you all to hear from the people who knew Nolan Wells best, so they can thank you themselves and tell you about the trials and tribulations that they have been enduring since July 4th. July 4th will never be the same for them. I bring to the podium Nolan Wells' mother and father, Christine and Elmore. Please give them a warm NAACP welcome.
I just don't know why they keep making us talk and everything. They just did the funeral yesterday. Or Monday.
First of all, I want to say thank you all so much. Thank you to President Johnson as well as Chairman Russell. This has been a difficult journey. Losing a child, it truly breaks your heart. It is a pain that is just, you can't measure it. Especially someone like Nolan, who brought so much joy and light and life to everyone. You don't find too many genuine people like him. So to lose that light at such a young age under these circumstances has been absolutely difficult, which is why we've gone this route. There's so many people out in the public asking all of these questions, but the only question that we have is what happened to our son. That is the only question. We have consistently been degraded by the public. There's been questions about our parenting, our GoFundMe, this, that, and other. I've been called a racist. I am a healthcare provider, and I take my job very seriously. I love everyone.
They don't mind the white boys being called racist, though.
And it's been difficult for us, but we are leaning into our faith, leaning into one another, also leaning into all of you. There are not enough thank yous, not enough appreciation for what you guys have done for us. And we do. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And so it is our hope that our local authorities will do what they need to do, because us having the preliminary autopsy results and hearing nothing from them, it's heartbreaking and it's concerning, which again is why we are here, why we have asked for this help. So again, thank you all so much for your support. We appreciate you, we really do.
They cannot make these autopsies public, and I mentioned it before. It's not conducive for an investigation to make these things public. So
every day I wake up, it's a new challenge. Knowing that a part of me I will never talk to, I will never hold, I will never play around with or get mad at, it's not here anymore. Nolan brought a lot of joy to our family. He was the wittiest one out of everyone. The clown. He loved to put in the work because he wanted to be the best. He wanted to make me and his mother proud, and we were so proud of him just for being the person that he was. He was loving. All his teachers knew him, but loved him. He walks in the room, his aura, you're automatically drawn to it. Never met an enemy. And if they were, they would eventually be friends, because they would eventually bond, and it's gonna be hard. He should be at football practice right now. Calling me after practice, Dad, I made this play, or I made that play, or I get a text with 3 or 4 videos of him doing this, running this route, making this block, and what you think I should do? And I will give my honest, because I always tell them, if anyone is going to be totally honest with you, it's going to be me. And it's not because I'm being mean, but people outside of your family are going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to know to make you better. It's going to be hard for our family from here on out. And like I said, every day is a challenge. We're going to miss our son. And like my wife said, we just want honesty. We want to know what happened to our son, because the things that you're telling us, that's not the character of our son. We know our son. I understand, our children would do things that, that would kind of dumbfound us sometimes, but the things that we're being told, that wasn't Nolan.
What kind of
please
things?
keep us in your prayers, keep him in your prayers. And we're going to keep pushing and fighting until we find answers. Thank you guys for your love and support.
And I want to respect their kid and they lost, man. But these people up here, they so drifting.
Christine and Nolan, Christine and Elmore, Nolan's mother and father. Before we start to go over the preliminary findings from the independent autopsy, we will hear from Attorney Lisa Park to tell you about who was the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy. Attorney Lisa Park.
Thank you. Dr. Roger Mitchell could not join us today, but we felt it important before we reveal and unfold this report that you understand who conducted this autopsy. Dr. Roger Mitchell is a physician and board-certified forensic pathologist with 2 decades of experience. He currently serves as the president of the National Medical Association, which is the oldest and largest group of Black physicians in the U.S.
I guess it's because he's Black, it's different.
Most recently, he also served as president of Howard University Hospital, chief medical officer of the Howard University Faculty Practice Plan, and chair of the
They gotta make this
Department
about race,
of
dude.
Pathology.
It's crazy to me.
Before joining Howard, he served as chief medical examiner for Washington, D.C. from 2014 to 2021, and is later as interim deputy mayor for the Public Safety and Justice. Dr. Mitchell has conducted and managed thousands of autopsies and is nationally recognized for his work at the intersection of medicine, public health, and justice. And for this case, we sought out the very best, and we are proud to be working with the very best.
All right.
Thank you, Attorney Park. I again want to express our gratitude to President Johnson, Chairman Russell, and the NAACP, because civil rights is more important than ever in the United States of America today. And so we thank you for the civil rights leaders stepping up to say that our children's lives matter now more than ever. And I want to thank all of you for getting up 8 in the morning. If people could see how many people are gathered here, they would say, you all are truly blessed to have the support of America, Christine and Elmore. And I want to thank the media for covering this matter, because they don't always cover when our children are taken away from us in highly unquestionable ways.
Well, you don't always show up to it either.
And I do understand there's a lot of news going on in America today. I woke up to them saying LeBron James is going to announce where he's going to play basketball next year. But I'm very happy that the media said this story is just as important. As
As a basketball player.
And I'm sure LeBron James and Rich Paul.
Rich Paul? Rich Paul?
Stephon Curry and Draymond Green.
Draymond Green? Draymond. He's
Jaylen
making up
Brown,
players.
Embiid, Maxey, Giannis, Bam, and many other.
Come on, Ben, get to the autopsy, man. What are you doing?
The National Basketball Association will all agree that
they Black?
our children's lives are far more important than where LeBron or any other player will play next year. And so that's why I thank you all for being here, because this news is as important as any news in the United States of America, finding out why is Nolan Wells dead.
Soundbite.
And I want to thank
Come on, man.
you all who have called the call center. I want to thank Reverend Al Sharpton. I want to thank Mr. Tyler Perry. I want to thank Mr. Terry Owens for putting up the $125,000 reward for anybody out there who have information so we can get to the truth of what happened. I mean, any videos, and we've gotten so many videos, President Johnson, from that day from young people, and we want them to have the courage to come forward with the pictures. What you heard, I know people said there were a lot of disturbances out there. Some believe it involved Nolan. All of those things are important to get to the truth of what happened. The fact, Christine, that the United Cajun Navy are so forthcoming. The fact that they told us, we haven't heard from any of their local officials, that Nolan was found face down, fully clothed. Well, that's significant to us because the last time we saw him on the videos, he was without a shirt. So at what point did he put on a shirt? Somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. There were almost 300, 400 people. Somebody knows something. So
I agree with that
Scott
part.
X, we're trying to just make sure people understand that you can call the Nolan Wells tip line at bencrump.com. We will gladly listen to you, take any information as we try to put together this puzzle
Mute him.
of what happened.
You can also go to tips at theofficertatum.com because we're gonna do right by you, your information. So I'm gonna let him back in, Roland.
Team and I, we stand for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. We stand for justice, no matter who it convicts or it acquits. Yeah, and we stand for transparency because we got eyes that can see, and we don't need government officials having to narrate it for you and me. We can see it for ourselves. Transparency. That leads to the truth. The truth is the foundation for accountability and justice. And that's all we're seeking, as Christina Elmore said from day one. So with that, and Christina Elmore, if you all want to sit, we're about to go through this autopsy, and I know it may be a little emotional. Thank you, you're welcome.
So the thing is that, but they made it about race automatically, and they blamed people before they knew anything. That's the problem. Work with the boys, talk to them. They can probably give you some information, but instead they make them out to be racist, and they're getting death threats, and they don't quash none of it. They just let it happen. And I didn't get a chance to give a prelim of what I think they're gonna do. Oh, I did. I said because the body could have been, beat up in the water for 2 days. Anybody that know anything about this would allude to that. I'm hoping that they're honest with it and not randomly saying something to try to paint a picture.
Present the preliminary findings of the autopsy. We want to especially thank Mr. Colin Kaepernick for not thinking it robbery to pay for the autopsy.
What they doing with that GoFundMe money? $1 million in there. I mean, it's up to them, but I just wanted it to be known that if all these people paying for the services,
So
he can't read either. I just think that we all could have came. See, they got to be drama. We all could have came together as a community, as a people around the nation, and found out what happened to Nolan. But instead, they want to make it about race, and they want to project on people that had nothing to do with this, or may not have had nothing to do with it.
an autopsy will be provided for the media at press@bencrump.com. And so, Mr. Jones, keep that. I don't need this one. I just need this one here. So, pull this up. So, Dr. Roger Mitchell, board certified forensic pathologist, performed a preliminary report on the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. He conducted and presented this report on July 19th, 2026. Preliminary report, second autopsy, death of Nolan Xavier Wells. Cause of death, undetermined, pending investigation. And we'll explain that as we go through the report this morning. The manner of death, undetermined, pending investigation.
Why would you do this?
Statement of examination. This forensic pathologist was retained to perform a second autopsy examination on the body of Nolan Xavier Wells. Name of decedent, Nolan Xavier Wells. Age, 18 years old. Race, black. Gender, male. Date of death, unknown. Second autopsy date was performed on July 10th, 2026. Preliminary findings, and this is significant. Focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region. He said the etiology is unknown at this time. He said the body was received after the initial autopsy. He said the body had marked decompensation.
Composition.
He said
Decomposition.
corona incision of the scalp, brain removal, Y-shaped incision of the anterior torso, and he talked about the organs being removed, as is common, accompanied in the body, in the
Why would
body
he do this?
cavity. And that when you have an autopsy, the organs are removed from the body and they are dissected and examined. And then they
Why
are
would
put
you say
back
this?
in a bag within inside the body. So when they're buried, their remains will all be with them. But in this occasion, if there's going to be a second autopsy, then the organs are put in the body cavity so the second pathologist could be able to examine the organs as well. Very significant for Dr. Mitchell was that the anterior inner neck structures were absent, not received with the body. And we'll explain that in just a minute. And then it talks about the additional procedures performed during the second autopsy, and we'll go into the paragraphs on that there because he explains it better in his narrative. So where's the first
Why would he do this?
of the discussion, not the diagram?
If it's undetermined, which is already what they determined preliminarily with the one that was already done. They had this boy, they had him go out there, they did this, they had the same conclusion, and he's reading off of this graphic stuff that has nothing to do with Nolan Wells' death.
It's standard autopsy stuff. Standard autopsy
And
stuff.
did he read this before he did this or what?
Opinion.
No.
This forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen it. He talked about the second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes. marked decompensation
Is
can
it decompensation or
obscure
decomposition?
the presence and absence of bruising on the skin
Yeah.
surface,
What's he saying?
especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body when he received it on the 10th of July. For these reasons, additional dissection procedures not performed during the first autopsy examination were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection, dissection of the ribs, the pelvic, dissection of the subcutaneous and deep soft tissue, dissection of the back, the buttocks, the arms, and legs. He did all of this to rule out things. He ruled out there were no fractures or deep tissue injuries identified. This was very important because he wanted to be very thorough and very transparent, because transparency is the key to
They already did this.
to the answers of why Nolan Wells is not with us.
So so far there's nothing
So
like the authority said.
he did that there and was very straightforward.
I can't
very
believe they're
open.
doing this boy like this, man.
Very
This boy deserved better than
He
this.
says, however, dissection of the back of the head during the layered posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8 inch focal area of red discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the occipital bone. And he talked about how he found red discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the occipital bone, and he saw the red discoloration, and we actually saw the pictures of it. It's significant. You can't help but notice, why is this dark red here in the back of his head? And so he was important to note that in his report.
But
He said that etiology of this finding is unclear. There are no lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation. It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck dissection were not performed.
he's just searching for
He
something.
said another limitation, move this back here. Another limitation faced by this forensic pathologist was the absence of the anterior internal neck structures. The trachea and the laryngeal cartilage, the thyroid horn, and the hyoid bone were not received with the body. So he's saying that the throat was not received with the body when he got Nolan Wells' body in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. And so let's discuss that with what he said about that. He said, it is assumed that the initial pathologist retained these structures for additional evaluation. He said the retention of the anterior neck structures during an initial autopsy is a common forensic pathology practice. He was chief medical examiner for 7 years in Washington, D.C., and he said that if they had concern about throat or any fracture or compression of the throat, they too will hold them back. He doesn't know why they held the throat back, but he said the throat was not with the body of Nolan Wells when he received it
the family through
in
this?
Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. He said, nevertheless, a posterior neck dissection performed without review of the anterior neck structures is incomplete. Therefore, this pathologist cannot rule out injury to the neck as a contributor or a cause of death. He said he would need to have the medical examiner in Mississippi allow him to review the throat. That's why he said his autopsy is undetermined pending investigation. Remember, it's about transparency. Because the initial autopsy rightfully removed and dissected each organ, there are additional limitations inherent in the second autopsy of Nolan Wells. The most significant of the limitations was the inability to directly observe the airway and the lungs for water and directly observe the stomach for gastric contents. He said it is very significant as to what the initial forensic scientists who got to review the body when it was recovered. We have heard from our call center people saying the body wasn't waterlogged. Well, we need to know those things.
People say.
But unfortunately, because the body was decomposed and the organs have already been dissected, those are things we can only get from the initial autopsy. So therefore, again, the manner and cause of death is undetermined until further investigation. We are hopeful that the Mississippi Medical Examiner would give Dr. Mitchell an opportunity to see their photographs and their observations to the condition of Nolan Wells' body closer in time to July 4th. That is very important, and we have to continue to demand transparency, President Johnson.
So they did, it's all common practice this far.
In addition, the original toxicology results have not been received at the time of this report. And we continue to wait for the toxicology to come back because, again, that will be part of the investigation into Nolan Wells' autopsy by Dr. Mitchell. It is significant to note that it's many things that go into toxicology that only Dr. Mitchell would be able to opine upon, and medical experts can opine upon. And he feels the proper place to do that is before a grand jury in a courtroom. And so we would hope that the district attorney would present Dr. Mitchell before the grand jury as well. We want all relevant information to be heard by the grand jury. Lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water, This is important.
They could have done this a lot more professional.
Lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water with suspicion of drowning, it is important to confirm how that person entered the water. This is the crux of the matter. This information is especially important for those deaths of persons who can swim. As in the case with Nolan Wells, at the time of this report, this forensic pathologist does not know the condition of Nolan Wells. He did not know whether he was conscious or unconscious when he entered the water. He said that would be significant. He said he did not know whether he was forced into the water or unforced into the water. He said that would be significant. So he said the condition of Nolan Wells before he entered the water would be the crux of the matter. It would be of utmost importance to being able to determine a cause and manner of death. He said, definitive circumstances of death are required to determine the manner of death. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out, and let me really call your attention to this. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out if any intervening non-accidental factors contributed to or caused the death of Nolan Wells. Understand, he's saying based on the examination of the body, he cannot rule out foul play. That is significant.
The state, they already said the same thing.
With the following questions still outstanding,
Gosh.
number one, what were the circumstances that led to Nolan Xavier Wells entering the water? Number two, what was the body position when it was found? We know that a member of the United Cajun Navy said that he was face down and he was fully clothed. Number three, was there water in the airway? Remember, he talked about the lungs and the airways, were they filled with water? Number four, is there any evidence of injuries to the anterior neck structure? We got the autopsy without his neck. We got the body without his neck.
They pushing, he's
second
trying to
autopsy.
push something that it's common practice.
Number five, is there any evidence of any intracranial hemorrhaging? He said that is going to be very significant. Things that he could not observe at autopsy that the initial medical examiner would have been able to observe. Number six was the composition of what was the composition of the stomach contents? He talks about that being important because when was he found? How long had he been in the water? How long had it been since his last meal? All those things become relevant factors when you're trying to do a thorough and impartial autopsy. And number seven, what are the toxicology report findings? He said the best classification again for the cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells is undetermined pending investigation. This forensic pathologist reserves the right to review and incorporate additional forensic pathology information into his opinion as it becomes available. He says, the above opinions are expressed to a reasonable degree of medical certainty. Dr. Roger A. Mitchell, July 19, 2026. And we know that, as I said, this is only another part of the puzzle. And even though it tells us significant information, we still have more questions than we have answers at this time. And we will continue to press forward and persist, Christine and Elmore, with getting the answers to these questions. Because as you, yes.
But nothing is.
We will persist, persist, persist. Because as Christine and Elmore and Attorney Parker
Let's mute
and I
him real
talked
quick
this
because
morning,
he's done with that. We're going to try to re-engage with the Q&A when they start answering questions. But I just want to give a quick synopsis here. He did not reveal anything. He knew, and any medical examiner knows, that when you do this, you're going to have areas where the second forensic pathologist is not going to be able to determine these things.
Yes.
The original examination yielded the same results as what they just did. And he put the family through all of this stuff when he could have told them offline, and he could have just put this up on a website and not had to go through the graphic nature, or he could have let an actual medical examiner explain this to the family instead of him going through line by line and just trying to make it salacious. There is no evidence that anything was done, and there are no improprieties at this point. Everything that he said that they did, the other medical examiner said this is common practice. What would make them think that that Mississippi is going to do something wrong?
Right, 100%. Can I speak about something? I have some experience.
Let's just make sure, and you do. Let's make sure that he's not doing the Q&A first.
Copy that.
Because, okay, we're gonna jump in because he's just doing nothing but going in circles. We'll get back to him, but you have a lot of experience with this. You worked at a funeral home.
My family business, we had 4 funeral homes and a crematory, and I was a funeral director's assistant for years, and which meant I dealt with a lot of autopsies. And the thing I thought was really dirty at the beginning of his, spiel was essentially all his organs were removed, and you hear the crowd gasp.
Yeah.
Every autopsy that is done, there's the Y incision, everything is taken out, weighed, inspected, and then put in a plastic bag, tied up, and put into the stomach, sealed back up. That is 100% common. The other thing is like when you're doing this to a body, you're essentially kind of destroying the body. You have to be very thorough. You have to do all this stuff. So if there is a second autopsy performed, you're not going to see as much stuff as you would maybe in the first one, because like the stomach contents have already been gone through, like there's not going to be, you're not going to see water in the lungs because the lungs have already been inspected and put back in the bag. So I think, I don't know, this to me seems dirty. The bruising, and the advanced stage decomposition, you're obviously not going to see much when a body's been decomposing in salt water in the heat for 2 days.
Yeah. And they know this before they initiated. They knew it. And so they knew they were going to do this and make it out to be something more than it probably was. They knew that they were going to have limitations when they went into it. If they were really honest, they would have said, we're going to do a secondary autopsy. Just so you know, there will be limitations to information because this is a second autopsy. It looked like they're doing Q&A.
Yeah.
Bring them back up. Look like they're doing Q&A.
Or us or President Johnson or Attorney Park and I will say this: as President Johnson comes to the stage, I was sharing this with him and Chairman Russell, Christine Clark. God knows we wish we had you at the Department of Justice now. Christine Clark.
Oh, because she's black, I guess.
As I was sharing with President Johnson and Reverend Al and others, this is so important that we continue to talk about Nolan Wells and what happened to him and that we get attention on him, because in getting attention on him, it brings attention, Cliff Jones, to other cases that are not getting their attention as of yet. But I'm so grateful to Christine and Elmore, because they said whatever we can do, not only to help our son, but to help these other young black boys who was killed the July 4th holiday. And I want to take a moment before we answer your questions to talk about two other young black men, both 18 years old, who were killed in extraordinary ways that are very similar to Nolan. President Johnson, 18-year-old Daniel Irvins went on a fishing trip, out on a fishing boat with two other young men. He was the only black.
See, here they go.
Right.
It is alleged that he ended up accidentally drowning, but his two white friends got his cell phone and threw it away, got his clothes and threw it away, and then went and deleted all of their text messages with him and social media. Sounds familiar?
No, but that didn't happen in this situation.
Right.
And they've only been charged with tampering with evidence. And his mother is crying out that they should be charged with murder, because if they would lie about his cell phone and his clothes and deleted messages, then they will lie about what really happened to Daniel Irvins.
But it's because they white or because they did something wrong?
And then there's the matter, President Johnson, Christine Clark, of 18-year-old Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, on 4th of July, was at a house party with about 10 other people. He was the only black person at the house.
These people are evil.
He somehow ends up shot in the head, dead. Some of the friends get rid of the gun. The police show up. They tell the police it was an accident. It was an accidental shooting, that they were playing Russian roulette. And Tyler Smith ended up getting killed. And apparently, Christine Clark, President Johnson, the police just took their word for it. His mother and grandmother are incensed. They asked the police, did you do a gunshot residue test on his hands? And the reason they said they had to call us, like Daniel Irvins and Nolan Wells' family, because the police told them, President Johnson, that there was no need to do gunshot residue on his hands or any of the other people in the house, because I don't understand this logic, but they said if they were playing Russian roulette, then all of them would have gunshot residue on their hands. So we don't need to do gunshot residue tests. It makes no sense whatsoever. So they are taking the word of these 10 people that your son just killed himself. And you don't have to worry about doing any investigation or testing forensically anything. Just take our word for it. Now, can you imagine in any three of these scenarios, had the survivors been young black men and they were with a young white man and he ended up dead, What kind of investigation would there have been? What kind of interrogation would there have been? Would they have ever been able to see the light of day until those questions were answered? Well, just like you would do a thorough investigation for your children, we want you to do a thorough investigation for our children.
Assuming that they didn't do an investigation because they're white. And assuming that the roles reverse, it'll be different.
Special. We just want equal justice. Equal justice. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Trevon to lead us in the final session.
We'll have a few questions. We have my colleagues on either side with microphones. Please announce your name and your media outlet if you have any questions.
I have a feeling I'm going to be
because we have
debunking a
other
lot of stuff
programming
right
going
now.
on in real time. We'll go here first.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everybody. Samantha Chapman, ABC7 Chicago. You just unveiled a comprehensive outline of the independent report. Can you summarize for our viewers, because there's a lot to take in?
Can you give us a sound
A lot
bite?
of information.
Is
So
what
in
she's saying.
summary, can you succinctly tell us what we can take away from this report? And also, if you can provide more details about the neck.
Yep.
I heard a lot of people behind me gasping when
Yep.
that detail was mentioned.
Yep. Let me try to be very comprehensive.
How about you have
As
somebody to do this for a living?
Dr. Roger Mitchell said, that the focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region, is significant because he cannot determine why you have that red discoloration in the back of his brain. That's significant.
They didn't say his
He
brain.
also talked about
Back his head.
Mr. Williams, if you could, just the fact that as
But there was no
this common
lacerations or
practice, he
anything
was
to it.
missing
No
his throat
bruising.
when they received the body. And he wants to know why they held it back. He's not drawing any conclusions, but he said he would want to examine it if there were neck fractures or compressions to the neck. And he thinks that's significant to know at autopsy. The reason he says he would hold it back when he was medical examiner because he thought that there may have been some issues with neck fractures. The last thing that is significant is what we said before about him, the condition of his body when he went into the water. Was he conscious or unconscious? Was he forced or unforced into the water? He said those things are very significant. But he started off talking about this red discoloration in the back of his head is something that was of great concern to him.
But a medical examiner could evaluate that more properly and give a better conclusion for this lady. But yet he doing it.
Daryl Denard with Chicago Speaks on V103. What specifically are you calling for from Mississippi authorities in terms of transparency, but more importantly, investigations?
I know President Johnson is from the state of Mississippi, and the Mississippi Conference president is here. They're calling, as we are, for a fair, impartial, comprehensive investigation.
Which is happening
When
so far.
Nolan's parents heard the sheriff say there's no foul play at the beginning of the investigation.
Pause him real quick.
That is cause for concern.
He did not say there's no foul play. He says there's no evidence of something as of yet. They still are doing the autopsy. He said there is no evidence of foul play at the moment. They're investigating just like they claim they're investigating. They can't say somebody killed him with no evidence. They're saying that we don't have any evidence. Just like the autopsy is showing now, there's no real evidence of anything foul yet. They have to do toxicology. Why would he say that they determined? There wasn't determination. They giving an update. Play it, put him on there.
White 18-year-old who was with them, and he ended up dead. We don't believe that those young black men would not have been interrogated
They were.
to the full extent of the law.
They were.
We believe that it would not have been a choice whether they were going to cooperate with law enforcement if their lawyers and them were going to cooperate. No. They would have been held until they gave answers. They would have been held until they explained the cell phone in their possession. They would have been held until their cell phones have been examined. And so whatever you would do, had the roles been reversed,
Let me jump in here. This dude is lying to people again. They initially, when this happened, they all spoke to the police department. Some of them took lie detector tests, which they passed. I think only one didn't, but the rest of them did. And we have the story of the one that didn't for the world to see. So, next question. Go ahead.
Or timeline to the best of your ability of the contact that you've had with Mississippi authorities or Ocean Springs authorities or the Cajun Navy. Have you all talked to them? Do they call you after the initial autopsy? Is it just radio silence from them? Do you have to call them? Can you kind of walk us through that process?
So the last time we actually spoke with local authorities, which would be the Sheriff's Department, was I think a day or two after his body was found. That was only initiated by me. I sent him a text message. I was like, hey, this is Christine, Nolan's mom. I just want to see if there are any updates. Basically, he called back. There were no updates. He's like, we're still interviewing. And again, my concern, and also my husband's concern, was it was not even an hour that his body had been removed. And the sheriff came out and said, this is, accidental drowning. We don't think there's foul play. Again, that is why we're doing what we're doing and why we're moving the way we are. Because I sat there and asked them, please take this case as if this is your child, your family member, your whatever. And they promised that they would, but when you make statements like that straight out the gate, that's an issue. We did meet with the DA. She did promise, transparency and all of this, all of that. However, damage has already been done because now that's the narrative that's being pushed by the general public, who again, know nothing really, only what they're hearing from other people.
You guys are saying the white boys killed him.
In addition to that, it's all
they're
these
saying that
things
he's been
coming up.
killed.
And at the end of the day, like I said before, any parent that would be in this situation, you would do anything to find out what happened to your child.
People,
and that is what we're here to do.
Without evidence.
It is very important to note that this narrative, this suggestion that it was an accidental drowning, nothing to see here, is troubling, even if that's the case. There were 300 to 400 people out on Horns Island. You mean to tell me nobody saw anything? Nobody can tell us anything about what happened to one of the few black people that were out there on that island that day?
He wasn't the only one.
It just doesn't add up.
All right,
the
Tom,
fact that they're saying no.
Y'all just know he's just talking hogwash. So he wasn't the only black person out there. So why are you not criticizing the other black people out there who was his friends with him? Why don't they tell what happened to him? Why don't they know what happened to him? Why didn't they make sure he got back home safe? So you telling me the white kids are held to an account, but the black kids who were with Nolan, who were his friends out there, they don't have no accountability for his well-being. This is what bothers me. They are doing an investigation. The sheriff said at the time they have no evidence that anything happened. They're trying to quash, all of the naysayers so it don't get spun out of control. Put him on there.
Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells.
They just
Justice for Nolan Wells.
Justice for Nolan Wells.
Justice
I'm
for
trying to
Nolan
make it through these questions.
Justice for
but
Nolan
I like
Wells.
don't even want to watch this anymore.
We're going to have our Religious Affairs Committee join us quickly so we can have a quick word of prayer
All right,
with
we
the
can see it.
family.
They're done with the thing. Let me clarify a few things with you guys that are watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Let me if you just not joining, let me tell you what you just missed, which is not much but a minstrel show. This boy deserved better than this. He was a good kid according to all the people that I talked to. And y'all turning his stuff into a circus. You turn it into a race hustling ceremony. You go out and parade this autopsy knowing that there's limitations to the autopsy because you've done it 1,000 times. But you put it out in the public to make it seem like something nefarious. From the very beginning, not one person can say that the law enforcement agency is not investigating this. They interviewed all these boys. They gave an equivalent of a lie detector test to, I think, all of them but one. All the videos have been sent to the police. They're doing an autopsy. They seem that they're investigating the neck. They're doing their part. There is no indication outside of them being white that they're going to somehow do this boy wrong. You don't jump the gun and make mention of impropriety before you have any evidence of impropriety. And Nolan Wells' mother and father have not spoken to these boys or their attorneys to get the other side of this. They told me that many of them couldn't go to the funeral because they had all those death threats. With them claiming that these white boys did it, you think they can go to that funeral? Come on, man. Like let's be honest. And then they're punitive against them because they didn't go. Well, I was with them on the day of the funeral. They wanted to go. They were sad that they couldn't go. But they can't because these black people can't honor a young brother without making it about race. The cell phone thing, this has already been explained to the police department. But if Benjamin Crump and all these other people would talk to the family, then they'll have an explanation and quit saying, we don't know what happened. They already gave a statement to the cops and y'all don't go talk to him. I had to go talk to him. If you believe their explanation or not, you'll have an explanation. But Benjamin Crump don't want an explanation. They don't want to hear the other side because then it will challenge their theology and their grift. The boys had a very robust explanation of why his phone was on the boat. His keys were at the house with the car. You know, and he brought up those other situations. They go, oh, well, the kids, they threw his phone into the... So you telling me that they throw the boy phone and clothes out in an attempt to cover the situation up. But you telling me that these boys murdered him and didn't get rid of the evidence. He's fully clothed, and they had his cell phone that they turned over to his mama. I'm just saying, put things together. If they killed the man, they throw his phone in the Gulf of America, never to be found. I rode on a 30-minute boat ride.
Right.
From the dock that they left on to Horn Island. If you fall off the boat out there, you gone.
Absolutely.
They'll never find you.
Well, and they were talking about the riptides.
They'll never find you.
They were like, even the strongest swimmers get sucked into these riptides. How many times did someone say people drown out here all the time?
They said it happens all the time. It's several people every year drown
Drunk,
at Horn Island.
Drunk or not drunk.
Right.
Yes.
So why I'm gonna tell y'all this, and this is why this is troublesome to me. They've already made the conclusion that Nolan was murdered. Mm-hmm. They don't want the truth. They want somebody arrested for murder. They not accepting the fact that he could have just drowned.
Right.
He out there getting drunk. They drinking. He could have went off the edge, went underwater, passed out, drowned, died. Nobody saw him. There's so many boats and stuff out there. He just floated up like other people who have died there. They just make black people look so bad, man. Because without any information, they jump to racism. they're not saying that the authorities have actually materially did anything wrong. It's just because they white, they don't trust that they're going to do this boy right with no evidence. Like, in these situations, they have investigated and arrested people in these other situations. Just because it's not the outcome you want, don't mean that it's impropriety. Let me just explain this too about law enforcement. You can't arrest people because you think they did something.
Right.
You have to have reasonable suspicion or probable cause to arrest, meaning reasonable suspicion to detain them, and you got to have probable cause to arrest them. So you go out, a kid dies, you don't have a search warrant to go through people's phones unless you can tie them to a crime committed or suspicion that they were involved in a crime. You cannot just get people's phone because you were out there. Therefore, they should be able to get everybody's phone that's on the island. What judge is going to grant you a search warrant to get every phone that's on the island because people were out there with Nolan? Then the contradiction is that they left him behind.
Right.
If they left him behind, they weren't there when he died. So now how are you going to get their cell phone records when they weren't even there when he died? It's all to push racism, bruh. I want to know what happened to Nolan. They don't want to know what happened to Nolan. And this family is getting caught up in this with these hoodwinking folk that all they're doing is doing. 4th of July, they brought up 3 incidents. Well, there's probably 45 black people that got killed on the 4th of July through homicide and all other things, and they don't talk about them. They just got the grifty ones. And that girl, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find this clip, team. I want y'all to find this clip. Because I think that woman lied on Katie Pavlich's show. She told me, I said, he ain't gonna talk about it unless it's white people involved. She claimed her nephew got killed in like a boating situation or something like this, where there was black people involved, but Benjamin Crump was there. And he only mentioned 3 of these situations, and they all were involving 1 black kid, all white people. Now, let me put this in perspective. If you really want to be honest with yourself, then why are these black people, why are the black boys with all white friend groups? They clearly chose to be friends with all white people. And somehow you think that these people are also friends with a black kid that they hate the whole time.
Right. And what did Warren say when we talked to Warren? He was like, because you asked
Yeah, he said if they were somehow racist and all this stuff, why would he even hang out with them?
Yeah, and he would have bailed months. He was like, he wasn't the type of dude to put up with that sort of stuff from a friend, a so-called friend. If there was any racism, he would have been seeing.
And he got all the black friends, right? All the friends at his funeral.
Right.
All the friends doing TikTok dances. Why he hanging out with the white kids then? I'm just saying, if they're trying to act like these boys are racist and there's racial tension there in Mississippi because it's a bunch of racist white people, then why is he hanging out with them and not his black friends?
Right.
According to some of the stuff we said, they told us that they were closer to him than some of these black kids.
Yes.
And then when you go look at his pictures. He with white girls and white dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Look at where they lived, in a predominantly white neighborhood. Look at what school they went to, predominantly white. His friend group that he went to the island with, all white kids. Well, it was a couple black kids in there, but majority white. Who did he take a picture with on the boat? White kids.
Yeah, exactly.
He with the white kids.
And did he look upset taking the picture with the 3 white kids?
You know what they told us, remember?
What?
They said he mentioned, and it was sad when they said it, I almost teared up. He said, "This is the best day of my life."
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
He was having the time of his life with his friends. He loved those kids. They loved him. They hung out often. They spent the night at each other's house all the time.
They were planning this trip for months.
He wasn't planning to go with the other kids. He was planning to go with the kids he went with.
They talked about it for, while they were still in school. They had this whole plan. It was an event in their lives. And they were like, we could not wait for the 4th of July.
And they went last year together. They've been to Horn Island before with him many times.
Right.
As a friend group.
Yeah.
And my whole thing with this, if people are upset about it or whatever, wondering why I'm saying this, I just want people to stop pushing racism because we were hearing that people are afraid to say stuff.
Very much so.
Because these kids that left him, which means that they weren't there when he died, they getting death threats. Now, there's probably people on that island that saw Nolan at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever. But they don't want to say they saw him last because they're going to end up getting... his mama, this is what bothers me about Nolan mama. They took, I think they established, or I don't know the legal term, but they did something with his estate. In preparations, they're going to sue for wrongful death.
I mean, I have the document in my
We
bag.
got the document. Wait, y'all hold on to
Yeah,
it.
okay, cool.
Why is she trying to sue? She can't, this document does not give her the ability to sue the police department for wrongful death.
Right.
But she's trying to sue individuals for wrongful death.
Right. Filed the day of the funeral.
The day of the funeral, signed, she filed to get, I guess, access or take control of his estate or to establish his estate.
Yes.
So that they can sue, because when you sue, the money has to come into an estate that's in his name. I think that's
And the thing that's crazy is that filing is public record. Who's reporting it?
right.
Who's talking about it? Nobody.
Nobody in the main.
This is probably the first.
Where's the document? You got it with
yeah,
you?
I got you.
Just so y'all know, we ain't make this up.
Yep. There you are. I think it's.
Make sure nobody's name's on here.
Yeah, I think it's on the back. The second page.
Yeah, I
That's
see this.
second. Okay.
I just want to make sure there's no.
I mean,
identifying marker.
yeah, I think there's some. You may not want to show it on camera, but
Just know we got it right here.
yeah.
This the paper right here.
And
I'm
it was
looking at
it was handed to us from a very reliable source, very very close to the situation.
And this stuff is public record,
Okay.
so can't show you all of
Yep.
it. But just know, because people are reporting it, but not the mainstream media. They did this so that they can potentially sue individual people. To me, it appears in part like a money grab. They got a multi-million-dollar GoFundMe,
About $750,000, right?
$750,000.
$850,000 goal as of right now.
And you know it's just going to get bigger as they continue to do these press conferences,
Yep.
continue to leak out information. They raised all this money, and where is it going? Nolan is dead. The family has money.
Mm-hmm.
They're not poor.
Right.
The mother is like, I think she's an MD.
No, she's a RN.
RN.
She's like a high level nurse.
She's a nurse practitioner. I think.
That's what it is. Oh yeah.
She's a nurse practitioner,
NP.
and I think the MB.
Yeah,
Or
NP.
NP,
yeah.
I'm sorry. And
So loud.
and then the dad, I think, is doing something else. They lived in a great community. What I was told is that they had a big old crazy house.
And then house fire. And then they rebuilt.
They rebuilt
a big old house.
Nasty house. So these people got money. So it's not like they're destitute and they need $700,000 because Nolan was their breadwinner.
Right.
Nolan wasn't even a D1 player. Just so you, I mean, just saying.
Yeah.
He could still go to the league.
Sure.
But he wasn't a D1 player. So it's not like he was a meal ticket for them, to be quite honest. So they already had money. They was established.
Mm-hmm.
And so the $700,000 is, you got
What?
the funeral already paid for. The autopsy was already done. Nolan was an adult. He didn't live at home.
Right.
Maybe he went back home. He
Yeah.
was in college. So I'm not saying it's wrong to have it, but because they got to pay Benjamin Crump probably half of it. So
33 to 40% is I think what we looked up.
allegedly his going rate,
Yeah.
33 to 40%. And they can put the money, like essentially what I see here, Benjamin Crump, like think about this. Why did they not retain a criminal
Why wouldn't you?
attorney?
Right.
This is a criminal matter. Why would you get a civil rights attorney when you want justice in a criminal court system?
Absolutely.
You would think that the family would have a practicing criminal law attorney so that he could be apprised of the criminal system.
Yep.
He can do everything they need and give them advice on that.
Yep.
But instead, they got a civil rights attorney. So what this alludes to me is that this is a Ponzi scheme money grab. meaning not Ponzi scheme, but I'm just using
Yeah,
Ponzi
right,
scheme like
sure.
a fraudulent money grab. Because I feel like he goes into communities and he riles up people and he has this system to raise and make as much money as possible and then he out of there. Because if you go and look at many of the people that he was involved, they never got criminal justice.
Yeah.
They only got payouts, monetary payouts. Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. That was all a lie. Michael Brown was wrong, but they got paid $16 million or something crazy from the state.
Really? I didn't
Yes.
know that.
Michael Brown, I think it was like $8 million or some crazy number. Even though Michael Brown was wrong, they won in a wrongful death suit. Even though he was wrong and he tried to kill the cop and the cop shot him and was justified, cleared, state and federal. But what they do is they get in there, they have their systems in place. Put me on the screen. I just want people to, if somebody want to clip this, they have systems in place to maximize financial gain in these situations. So they know when they come in, they got a checklist of what they can do to maximize financial gain and exposure. They come in, they accuse race right away. It's racist. Racial dynamic was involved in this. They give the illusion that because they're white, they're not going to do an investigation properly. So they know that a secondary autopsy is going to have limitations, but this their play. Let's go do a secondary autopsy so we can get and report that, because the report was inconclusive. It was no different than the original autopsy. But because there's natural limitations that they already know exist, they're going to use that as fodder to say, see, we didn't have this. Oh, it's common that we wouldn't have it, but we don't have it. And that leaves all these gaps. There's going to always be gaps if you do a secondary autopsy. Yep. So, but then they have other activists that can say, I'll pay for the funeral. I'll pay for the secondary autopsy. As they leverage celebrity to get the story bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And what are they doing? At the funeral, instead of just honoring his death, they turn it into a press conference. They turn it into a fundraiser. And then they come the next 2 days later at the NAACP event to do this press conference. This has nothing to do with the NAACP. But they are able to do that to bring attention and awareness to NAACP and raise money. This is my opinion. Yeah. Because they could have held a press conference separate with just the family was involved, but they did it at the NAACP thing. And then they say, well, we got to go because we got other programming. Because they're doing it and announcing it at their event to draw attention to their own stuff. Then Benjamin Crump is associated with these other cases. That's why he brought him up. Because now he's going to leverage Nolan's death, which don't show any real impropriety yet, to get attention to these other cases where he's GoFunding me and making money off of. That's just my opinion, bro. Like, I think they do this every time there's an incident that happened. They go, can we make money off of this? It's a black man that died at the hands of other black people that had a mysterious means to it, but we can't make no money off of that. So I'm not going to go there. We're not going to, oh, we can blame white people. Let's go over there and let's put our resources in there. Al Sharpton is on speed dial. Colin Kaepernick and them all on speed dial.
Where were they today?
I didn't see Colin Kaepernick there. Did you?
No.
I didn't see, even in Mississippi, Colin Kaepernick wasn't there. Tyler Perry got a private, Tyler Perry is a billionaire, close to it. He could have got on a private jet down to Mississippi and went and just showed his face there. Totally. And I'm not trying to rag on him because I don't know why he didn't, but he wasn't there. Colin Kaepernick wasn't there. Al Sharpton wasn't at this NAACP thing. I'm not saying he had to, but just notably that they were not there. All the celebrities that's showing up talking about they're gonna do this, they came to the funeral because it's a spectacle, but are they showing up to these other events? It's no reason for them to show up. They don't make anything. They're not in the limelight. This is a little NAACP announcement. I think just as well as importance of his funeral, if there was findings, his autopsy would have been just as important. It's all a grift, man. These people are not genuine. Now, bring this lady up because she's been posting about me, talking about she got me on this interview. She just flat out lied about a lot of stuff. Is this the part where she said, oh, this is the whole thing. I want the part where she said, let's just play it through and then we'll get to, because it happened right at the beginning maybe the second iteration of us talking, where I said he never goes to any of this stuff unless they black. And she brought up an incident. Let's play it, and then let's find this incident that she's talking about. Because if it's one of those three, she lied on here. If it's something else, I'm willing to look into it. All right, roll it.
From a law enforcement perspective, what do you make of the timeline, the lack of answers, what maybe occurred here?
Well, I think the first thing is that these activists have came in and brought in information or lies about circumstances to make people question. The law enforcement officers have already done an autopsy. They've already investigated. There's no sign of foul play. And one thing that's very interesting that I just found out recently is that it wasn't a situation where you have Nolan Wells and 4 of the kids at an island. There's thousands of people there. There's hundreds of different boats. So him staying behind while some of his other friends went back to the mainland wasn't that suspicious. I really wish that the family would focus on Nolan Wells' life, focus on the investigation, and let the police do their job instead of interjecting race into this situation. And it's completely unnecessary to be there at this point.
Time out.
So, Ted,
at this point, if you don't have clear evidence of racial animus or racial motives, you do not interject it into a sensitive situation where a young man has died. They came in and they lied about so many different things, which we are already disproving a lot of it. Now, this is what the lady said in his response.
Worked with Ben Crump. You have valuable insight into how he operates. You're not speaking for him tonight, but what do you think about the timeline and whether it determines whether Nolan was still alive before the boat left the island, like his friends insist?
Yeah, thank you, Katie. I'm speaking as a mom, of a 19-year-old. In the same way Officer Tatum wishes that people would not insert lies, I wish Officer Tatum would allow the investigation, the independent investigation, to run its course. You don't know, Mr. Tatum, what has been talked about in this investigation. It has not been complete, and people have not came forward to say what happened with Nolan Wells. So I actually do believe his parents when they said that they taught their son to leave with whoever you came with. So for you to make the accusations that is a lie, when they're burying their son on Monday, is quite frankly to be disgusting, Officer Tatum, and I'm ashamed.
You know what's funny? I hope that you're paying attention to this, because there's a lot of information that have come out, and I've gotten firsthand knowledge about some things that have happened on that island, and people are going to be ashamed of themselves for sitting here lying and pushing racism in this circumstance.
Well,
I don't know what happened, but I do know. I'll let you finish. I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just saying I got firsthand knowledge too. But as we're talking about right now, talking about right now, you made the accusation that there were lies, that race has been interjected. Like I said last week, if people don't want people to speculate, then investigate. So this
that's true. Brandon, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that topic, because Ben Crump is notorious and has been criticized by people who have used him in the past for their cases of being an ambulance chaser, pushing a narrative that fits the racial lens that he wants it to. You've talked about this on your podcast and how you believe young black men are unfortunately killed every single day. And people like Ben Crump and Al Sharpton just highlight certain stories that benefit them rather than the families.
Well, let's keep it real. This is all about money. Benjamin Crump will never show up to a kid's funeral or say anything about a kid that's killed by another black kid. But if there's an opportunity to interject racism into a situation where there's no evidence of racism, Benjamin Crump will be there to do it. What is his end goal? He's not a criminal attorney. So he's not going to help the family get justice on a criminal level. He's a civil rights attorney. You don't need a civil rights attorney in a case where you're wondering if the investigation is going right for your son, unless you believe this has something to do with racism.
Let him finish, and then I'll let you talk, okay? Let him finish his point, and then I'll let you respond.
He's going on a diatribe. So
no, he's not. He's speaking, and I'll let you respond as soon as he's done making his point.
Katie, I'll let the young lady go. Go ahead. I would love to hear what you got to say to that.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Officer Tatum. Thank you. Well, let's just once again, speaking about things that you don't know about. Katie, you set it up with talking about Ben Crump being notorious for race baiting. I could name a couple of things that Officer Tatum here is also notorious for. So let's be careful on how we
don't need these personal attacks.
I'm going to finish my statement. I'm going to finish my statement. And let me also correct you on something else, Mr. Tatum, when you said Ben Crump would never show up for a black kid that was murdered by a black kid. My cousin, Jordan Turner, who was 19 and was murdered by another black kid that also went away with his friends and never returned home. Guess who showed up?
Jordan Turner.
Attorney Ben.
She better be. She better be. It better be right what she's saying.
Let's see.
Because I conceded to her on the news. I said, okay, that's one. I can't name two.
Saturday for $1 million for 24-year-old Jordan Turner who faces murder and weapons charges. Does that sound right? I mean, she just mentioned the name.
I know. She said he went on a boat trip. So Jordan Turner goes on a boat trip. He was killed.
Okay, let me refine this a bit. Yeah, I'll do some more digging.
Grant will look it up and let her finish.
Benjamin Crump, I know you're looking confused. See, this is why it's important that you
was that related to black people? Was black people involved in his death?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, that's
and they
one.
were convicted. And they were convicted.
And we didn't hear about it plastered all over the media. That's a big difference.
So see, this is why you don't know. This is why you should speak of what you know and not what you heard. So again, when it comes down to Nolan Wells, I ask that we use this time to ask people to come forward and speak about what they know. The young man did not come home, Brandon. He didn't come home. So let's use this time instead of focusing on what people are saying in the comments. Let's continue to stay in.
Brandon, I mean, Ben Crump is the one making this conversation in the media. Ben Crump is the one making this conversation in the media. He's the one pushing this out there so people do speculate ahead of the investigation, not letting it play out. But Brandon, I want to ask you this question. Teslin, 1 second. Brandon, there's been a lot of accusation and pushing that Nolan Wells' white friends have not been questioned enough as if they were somehow responsible for his death based on race. That seems like a highly irresponsible narrative to be pushing, especially when we don't know all of the facts yet.
100%. It is a flat out lie. The police department isn't doing their investigation. They're doing it fair and properly. Benjamin Crump cannot come out right now and say that the investigation isn't going like it should. They're interjecting race into something that has nothing to do with race. These boys were friends. The coach came out, who happened to be a black man, that said he don't believe race is a factor. These boys grew up together. These boys go to school together. This is a tragic situation, and they should leave it at what it is, and that's a tragedy. Let the investigation unfold. Benjamin Crump they're already out saying this has something to do with race because the boy was with white guys. That is asinine.
Just like you described it just like you describe it when you talk about black on black crime constantly. So what a young black boy went with his white friends and didn't come back. So why are you not asking the white children to speak up? Nobody saw nothing, Brandon.
They are speaking. They are speaking.
Where?
He didn't come home.
All right, we gotta run.
White got to do anything.
We got to run. We hope that the family can get some answers because a young man is dead, and we want his family to have closure.
You know, a little ghetto. Why what does it got to do with them being white? Like, even if they did something to him, why can't it just be they did something to these boys did something to him and they should go to prison? Now we know they ain't had nothing to do with it because these people talking out of both sides of their mouths. Joe, to your question, yes, but I don't know what time it is.
It's 7:58.
Oh, I got plenty of time. It's so early. Yeah, yes. But going back to what I said is that, look, make your mind up. The white boys are guilty because they left him. They wanted you to believe they left him on a deserted island. That's how they made it out to be like they're guilty of his death because they must have did something to him and then left him to die. And now the world has found out after they pushed this narrative that he was there with hundreds of other people and tons of his other friends. So now leaving him isn't an indication that they had anything to do with his death. So now they got to pivot. Something must have happened to him. They left. Somebody saw something. They didn't see these white boys kill him, did they? There ain't nobody coming forward saying they saw any of these boys that they've been accusing that's been in these pictures on the boat that they killed him. You know, anyway, I interviewed Warren Hudson, incredible kid. I literally want to start a give, send, go for them. Like I know that. Look, I gotta talk to my team and see if his family is okay with it. Even maybe if they're not okay with it, or if they're not okay with it, I wouldn't do it. But if they're impartial about it, I would love to bless them. Just because Warren stepped up with all the threats against him and people want to kill him, he decided to be brave enough to come out and say something. And these boys are going to need legal support and all kind of other stuff. because these people are going to come after them and blame them and shame them and all this stuff. And they raised $700,000 for Nolan, which is fine. But how these kids get slandered? They're kids too. They got families too. Their lives matter too. And if they didn't do anything, they should not be treated this way. They had evidence that these boys did something to Nolan. You got to go to jail. But they left. GPS tracker, live 360. They were gone. Evidence, proof, they were gone. People saw him alive after they had already left. It's no way he died. Well, it's a likelihood he didn't die at 4:30. They telling him to get on the boat. They on the boat telling him to get on the boat. And they gone. He's still alive with that girl. That girl admits that she was with him last. I mean, to a certain degree. Sure. But nobody's talking about this girl for some reason. Why don't y'all bring her up? Well, why don't she get investigated? Like, how deep was your relationship with this boy? What is the evidence that you telling the truth? All the witnesses are saying they saw him with that girl. That's what most people are saying. And I'm not saying she did anything. I'm just saying maybe she should give more context to this. Anyway, love you guys. I had to throw that out there, put that into context. We may try to do the show at some point. There's a couple things that have come out. Ryan Clark got fired. I want to talk about that. Sonny Hostin, who's a complete devil. She should actually go to jail for what she did. With interfering in an investigation, telling the law enforcement, telling her son, trying to leverage her.
Yeah, her authority.
Her authority. Because remember, she said nobody's above the law. She think that leveraging her stuff make her and her son above the law.
Uh-huh.
She's an idiot. There was one other thing that came out that I was, and this idiot.
I was gonna say
about the cameraman.
Which cameraman?
Allegedly, a disgruntled TPUSA person came out and claimed that Erica Kirk is all this other stuff on his podcast. Well, I did a little digging. I found out some stuff about him.
Oh, really?
What a D-bag. Liar.
Whoa.
He was fired.
Oh.
A while ago.
Oh.
And, you know, he worked a little bit with Turning Point as a contractor, but he wasn't a cameraman.
Oh, interesting.
They acting like they can call him a cameraman because he did work with Turning Point. Charlie probably didn't even know who this kid was. Regardless of that, I don't even care. None of that matters. What matters is they still doubling down and tripling down. And then D-bag of the year, and I'm going to say it because he wrong for this. The gentleman that allegedly killed Osama bin Laden. Not Osama bin Laden, but...
Ryan Neal, is that right?
Not Osama bin Laden. It was Osama.
Yeah, Osama bin Laden, SEAL Team 6.
SEAL Team 6.
Ryan O'Neal, I think.
Ryan O'Neal.
Yeah.
Let me retract that just a little bit. I don't know Ryan O'Neal's thing. I think if he killed Osama bin Laden, he was a Navy SEAL, he's a hero, right?
Let me make sure that's right.
But I disagree with what he said. Yeah. And pushing a conspiracy and lie about Charlie Kirk. If Rob O'Neal said...
Rob O'Neal, that's right.
If Rob O'Neal said, I have a question about the 30-06. It's already been debunked. The court has already forensically proven that there's no other option but him getting shot with that gun. They put the caliber of gun on the thing. Anyway, if he said, I have questions about that, I get it.
Yeah.
That was my only hang-up was a 30-06.
Sure.
Like, that's weird. You know, they need to uncover some more stuff because there's an open book there. If he stopped there, I wouldn't say anything bad about Rob O'Neal. But he can't stop there. He has to go off on Erica and say she's being weird because she's wearing leather pants. Like, and then he said something else about Charlie's death. Oh, yeah, clearly this was it. Brother, can you come talk to me? Do some research, man. What are y'all doing?
Right.
I'm gonna get off this live, man. I gotta. But what are y'all doing? Still lying about Charlie Kirk's death? What would it take for y'all to believe that they got the suspect? He confessed. Like what else can a man do to tell y'all that he did it? His mama and them said, that's my son in that surveillance video, where we have the surveillance video of him going on campus and everything. They showed that to his mama. That's him. He gets on the roof, prone out, shoots Charlie, jump off the building with the grandpa gun. Mama say, that's him. Daddy, in a separate interview, that's my son. He turns himself in. The cops had no idea who he was. Turns himself in. It's his grandpa gun. His DNA is on the gun. His DNA is on the trigger guard, the foregrip, the optic. His DNA is on the shell case, the spent round, all the other rounds. The rounds were the same rounds that they found at his house, which his DNA is also on. His DNA is on the tool, the Dremel, that he etched in, which he told his boyfriend he wanted to use the Dremel to do. The boyfriend identified him on the camera, saying, or on the surveillance, that's him. He told his Discord chat, I did it. They didn't believe him. He doubled and tripled down from his device. The text to his boyfriend was from his cell phone with his cell phone number. Oh, you saying somebody else was using his cell phone? You got to jump through so many crazy, ridiculous hoops to say it was somebody other than him. Now, if you say somebody convinced him to do it, yeah, that's still an open book. They haven't determined why he got into the position that he wanted to do it. That's still an open book, which is fine. We can find those people, that information come out, they could be prosecuted as well. But the person who killed and shot Charlie was dead. No evidence that Erica Kirk had anything to do with this. I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. I do not understand why people are so ridiculous. What in the make you think Erica Kirk want to take over Turning Point USA? This is not Susan G. Komen, where the CEO of Susan G. Komen probably making millions of dollars. This is not some big multi-million. This is a nonprofit that's flying by the seat of their pants almost everything they do. I'm just being honest. Turnover rate is a lot. They work these people working. And it's not like she's going into a situation where it's just so laid back and they just breaking it into money. Charlie Kirk was such a special individual. He could raise money like it was nothing. People believed in him, all this other stuff. You think Erica want to get off the couch with her babies playing don't have to work every day to go work for a nonprofit where she can't make that much money? I mean, I think they probably salaries like $200,000 or something. She wanted to do, and Charlie was making millions because he had to be making millions. I don't know how much he was actually making, but I know how much he's probably making on that show because I had a show with Salem. His show was bigger than my show. So I know he was making some money. Sponsorships, speaking engagements, all that other stuff. The nonprofit is not making him that much money. It's the books and all this other stuff that he do outside the nonprofit that he make the money. Now he's dead. All that's gone. And you telling me she wanted him dead so she'd go work for a living. You can't, like, what are we saying here? She wanted to take over for Turning Point. Turning Point really wasn't Charlie. Turning Point wasn't Charlie's biggest accomplishment. When I say accomplishment, his influence was his biggest accomplishment. Turning Point was vicariously a result of who he was and how talented and blessed he was to be able to be an orator and a fundraiser and all this other stuff. Charlie Kirk was bigger than Turning Point. And thinking that her ultimate goal was for her to take over a nonprofit that Charlie was eventually probably gonna not run anyway. He could have been the president, turned that thing over to somebody else. He wasn't the COO. He was a CEO. I would think partially in name, because he couldn't run the thing, dude. He was traveling every day of the week. He had a podcast, a radio show. He had all kind of stuff doing. He wasn't a CEO in the sense of running it. He was a talent, and he was bringing in all the money. But somebody else running that. Turning Point Faith, they had a CEO at Turning Point Faith. Turning Point this, Turning Point that. They all had it. Charlie was not going to work for Turning Point for the rest of his life, dude. He probably been the president. But his wife wanted him to die and never reach president status and never make $1 billion and never manifest none of the stuff that they had because she want to run Turning Point. Making $200,000 a year. That's what we think going on here. But she a honeypot or something. She's not even a speaker. It's not like his wife is a world-renowned speaker. And she was also an influencer. And she was going to step right in and take over what he's doing. She don't even do what he does. Erica Kirk has never been a speaker. She is nowhere near Charlie Kirk, dude. And she don't want to be. But she's taking over she want her husband to die so she could take over Turning Point USA. All right, I'm off here. See y'all later.